What's up, y'all? It's your girl, my desire, and one and only Jazz. We back in the building. What's up, boo?
Hey, we back as if we never left. You
We
already
never
know.
left. You know what I'm saying? My bad, y'all. Your girl was on vacation. You feel me? We a little late, but we
It's
still here.
okay.
We here. Got
Right.
this glow. You know what I'm saying? We out here. We out here. But
Well deserved.
listen, absolutely, absolutely. But for real though, this some bullshit. I need episode 5 like now
Woo.
because episode 4.
I mean, it's a lot going on in episode 4. I mean, it's like, who do we start with?
I don't
Who?
know.
I think let's start off with the fact that every sister got the same therapist
Yeah,
again.
what's up with this? But this is our girl from this is our girl from oh my god, a different world, right?
I don't know. I didn't watch that.
I can't remember her name. I don't know if it's a different world. She is definitely from an old school '90s black show though, like for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, the therapist. She
Okay.
looks good, so shout out to her.
Hey,
Um, yeah, I'm not with this whole sharing a therapist vibe. In real life it wouldn't happen. I like the play on it because in real life it wouldn't happen. So I think that's kind
Mhm.
of cool. That's kind of cool. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's start off with Renee then.
come
Because I feel like
on.
Renee, we gotta save Sondi for last. So let's talk about Renee and how do we feel about her in this episode? Like,
I'm
do
just
we like her character now? Yes or no? Put it in the comment
no,
below.
I'm not rocking, bro. I'm not rocking. Like it's just mad weird for you to. It's mad weird because, but also it happens in real life, right?
Yeah.
The difference is that this man has money and he's
hmm
established, and
hmm
old boy wasn't. And I feel like that's so janky. Like
hmm
I'm not saying that a man has to like. I'm not saying that he should be in a startup phase, right? I
Yeah.
get that when you kind of going through a phase, he's I would dare say he's kind of having like a little bit of a midlife crisis, right? Because he's starting something completely new.
hmm
It's not unheard of though. People do it all the time, right?
hmm
But I just feel like she looks superficial and she says it even in her like her therapist, she reads back these notes that of the drunken text that she sent the old doctor, and she's like, "Damn, I sound man superficial when you read it like that." And it's like, "But you
hmm
are superficial. Like you don't want to be with old boy because he up and quit his job." Like if
hmm
I feel like I want to redo season 1, like watch it cuz I feel like that's literally the main reason why they broke up because he took her money, their
hmm
money in the joint, and started up a new business. So I get the she don't trust him because he took their money, didn't have a
hmm
conversation kind of thing. Yeah, but then there's also a big part of like, oh well, you can't afford this and the third, and you don't want to
Yeah.
be dating a broke rapper kind of situation. So now
Yeah.
to come in and do this with old boy because he's established, I don't know, man. It's a
You
whack.
know, I get that part. I feel like this dynamic fits her to
Oh,
me.
absolutely.
You know, and the fact that she's just upfront with it and not having to hide it, I actually like that. It's just like even at the dinner, he was like, I mean, like he was really going out his way and wooing her because as a
Mhm.
celebrity that has millions and millions, you do come across people who could be not genuine and be really like a robot. Like
Right.
they're AI, artificial intelligence, automation at its finest. It's like whatever you like, I like. At
Right.
least for her, she just like, like what you got going on. Like I'm not trying to make it more than
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
like, what can I still eat it though? She's like, yeah, you already know.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I will say that I love that about her. Her
Yeah.
authenticity, like her honesty, her pretty
Yeah.
much like no cut card kind of,
Yeah.
attitude. I do like that. I think it's just I want to see her substance. Right now they have her in this like play comedic role kind of space, and I'm not sure I'm feeling that. Like give me some depth to Renee.
Yeah.
Let me see her real feelings and not just her
Yeah.
like surface wise, you know what I mean? So that to me is like a little bit different. So
I feel like this episode shows a little bit of a transition, a little like for her to be like, I'm coming off a relationship and telling him straightforward because she's starting to notice that he's becoming a regular at
hmm
her home, knowing where the cups are,
right.
and she's just like, whoa, this is way too fast for me and I don't want it to be like a Jason situation. but she's feeling him. You
Right.
know, she's feeling
Yeah.
them, and I'm seeing a little bit of a change, even in that last little clip, which we'll talk about in you know, as we get further on this episode, how she
Yeah,
reacted
yeah,
as
yeah. No, I mean, I do think that we are gonna see different shades of Whitney.
mm-hmm,
I mean, of Renee, and I'm excited to see where she lands at the end of the season because that's necessary. I do feel like she's having some growth, but I want to see more depth, of
mm-hmm.
her. So it'll
Hopefully it'll appear. So on to Whitney and Olu, bless you. So how do we feel about her telling her how and why she told Olu why she did what she did? Because I remember we asked that question before. Would you have told Olu if you were Whitney? And she did.
Right. And so I like that the therapist asks, and this is like just a shout out to good therapists. They ask you questions to get you to actually to like lead yourself to the and I really like that because that's a great therapist. I think that it's what we all were kind of like waiting to know. Like, are you because even when she brought it up, right, she gets tricked into showing up to the pastor, to church, and Ola's there, and she's like, I cooked, I cleaned, I gave up a full ride at
Mhm,
Stafford for you. And he's like, I never asked you. And we know this in real life when people, not just
mhm,
women, do this on a day-to-day basis. They give up something that nobody asked them to give up. And that's very, very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Like, I never want to put myself in a situation where I start resenting you low key without even you knowing it because I gave up something you never asked me to give up. That's very dangerous.
mhm,
But I like how I think that I still think that Whitney has some growing up to do, right?
mhm.
Like outside of the cheating, the fact that she's like, "Oh yeah, you heard what the man said. He's speaking for God. Like, forgive me." And it's like, but you didn't really ask for forgiveness, and you didn't
Mhm.
apologize. You really didn't apologize. Like,
No.
it's mind-boggling for me because who is holding her accountable in this situation is really like it's yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like when people go when people who have done something wrong to somebody, right,
Mhm.
that they don't know about, and you then decide like I should really tell this person that has nothing to do with them and everything to do with you. Your conscience was eating at you, gnawing
Yeah.
at you, and then you talk to your girls who didn't really give you any good advice. And I'm not saying that to shade them. Like, yeah, you should be honest, but also you need to think about the consequences of your actions. You need to think about what happened now that you've done this. You should have thought about it before you did it, but now that you've done it, you've done it. Now that you got to think about what's going to happen afterwards. Like, what did, like, and that was a real question that we asked, right? Like, what did she think was going to happen? You thought that y'all was going to, like, she really thought they was going to walk down the aisle whole time. That's not even what she wanted.
Right. And I feel like this episode showed a lot about like what do you want? Like this episode should have been called What Do You Really Want? Or
Yeah.
What Did You Want? You know? Because with Whitney, I mean, seeing her be with this man for so many years, well, you know, what she said, 10 years or something, and that's all
Hmm.
she knew. And she was just tired of living this perfect, like, I'm this perfect girl, you know, built a relationship on perfection, and it's really not. So I mean, again, she has a lot of growing to do. And I'm actually kind of glad that she said what she said, you know, to the therapist. So that way, we'll see how it goes. Because does she even want to be with him? It's like she
Right.
sold the shoes. She sold it. Like
Hmm.
I guess she's like, man, I'm done with these. Or she donated the shoes or
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
to. She's like, I'm done with this chapter. On to the next. And
But is she though? Because I felt like she felt some kind of way when the young lady called her savage. Like, okay, savage. Like you could see her face kind of be like, because I think she really is oblivious, like to what she actually did. Like it didn't sink in like all the way. If that makes sense, I feel like
mm-hmm,
she understands the act. Yeah, I cheated. She doesn't understand what it did, like what it did to Ola. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mm-hmm. It's
I,
not processing.
yeah,
Yeah. But then I guess to her being so undecisive, she doesn't really know what she wants or where to
yeah,
go. Even if he did forgive her, would she have been back with him?
right. because she
You
said
know
that
what I
she didn't want to be
mean?
perfect anymore. So
Yeah. So it's like yeah.
yeah, girl, I don't know. I'm interested to see where this is gonna go. I do hope that they can get to a point where they can forgive each other honestly and be honest with each other about what they were doing and what they thought they were supposed to do. That's how a lot of us in relationships, we're doing what we think we're supposed to do, and that puts us in a very, very like tricky space. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And speaking
Um,
of tricky spaces, let's get to the one and only Sondi.
I told. What did I tell you? I told you it was. What I tell you? I said I told you it was coming. I said it ain't no way because Sonny look like she been holding on to some stuff, been wanting to say some stuff that she ain't been saying. She just been going along for the ride, and here we are. This man get down on one knee and he proposes to her, and she's having this panic attack. She's ready to like all this stuff, and I am baffled. But let me before we dive deep, I'm gonna point this out real quick. I think that the advice that Whitney gave her was shady. She said that I feel like Matthew doesn't want to lose you. I don't think that's the case at all. He got tenure. He got his daughters doing good with his baby
Mhm.
mother. Now he's ready to move into the next chapter of his life. I think it was very unfair for her to say that because it's not a good light to put him in. And I didn't think that. But what's your take on the whole
But
proposal?
how did you feel? Because when he found out that she had a secret home, right? And
Hmm.
then as a man, wouldn't you have thought that she has like an ace in the hole? Why would she have this place? She just didn't really give so much certainty. It was a lot of uncertainty.
Hmm.
So as a man, to be honest, if he really saw value in that woman, I would have done the same thing too. I would have been like, no, we gonna book it.
Right.
We're going to marry this woman. Like I'm already like I guess getting all these accomplishments and seeing the 10-year, the longevity of how many years, right? It
Right.
kind of puts you in a place where it's like, dang, here's a milestone. Why am I not, marrying this woman that I've been with XYZ years,
Right.
right?
He got that. I think he got that confirmation, that security. Because we
Mm-hmm.
talk about that a lot when it comes to black men. It's like, I need the financial stability. Even though he's clearly been there for a while, I feel like maybe there was something lingering in him that was like, I don't know, not yet. But now, and maybe that tenure came with a nice little salary increase. And he was
Yeah.
like, bam, I can get the ring that I want, you know?
Right. Like who knows? Or like he just felt like the distance because we didn't really know what would happen after that. Like we don't know what conversations have had
Right.
after the fact. It didn't show that, right? It could have been like, nah, you got an apartment. You don't really bang with me. You still got that apartment. You still got that lease. You might be out here ready to run away. Like
Hmm.
so for the mayor, I didn't think that he was going to get on one knee. That was not the route that I thought this episode was going to be like.
Oh, girl.
I did not think that because, like, just like when she had a panic attack, I felt that. I was like, yeah, there is no way you out
Nah,
here
girl,
about
what
to
you doing?
propose
What
when
you
you
doing
found
right now?
right. You just found out I got a whole home that a whole man could have been living in.
But remember, he said like I feel like I understand when he say something about like I see why you love this apartment or why it's comfortable these last few weeks. So they've been there a couple weeks because like she said they were gonna use it until the house got fixed up. So I think they obviously reconciled. We didn't see that part,
Yeah.
but for me, I just feel like she's been holding onto this for a while now. It's not new. And I think it's a testament to just women in general to stop doing shit that don't make you happy. Like if you're not fully happy, if you're not enjoy, right? Not in
Mm-hmm.
love, if you're not enjoy with
Mm-hmm.
something like
But you know what? In the last season, right, we didn't really see that mental hardship in the relationship. We didn't
right,
really see that, right? But for her, I guess the dynamic of Naomi coming into the picture, the real biological mother coming into the picture and taking Amari, just like she said to the therapist, it's
exposing
like,
things.
what triggered you? Like, what made you get into your cognitive function to decide that, Matthew ain't for you, for real?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, the fact that Amari's not there anymore, it made me really feel like, me and Matthew aren't really,
We're super different.
for each we're super different, and then now being on the podcast, I felt like I had a voice, and then now it's like she's starting to feel something new and exciting, and I guess she didn't have that excitement being on that hamster wheel,
Right.
being with, like Amari or like the unofficial mom
I feel
that
like if if she would have had conversations with him, though, who knows what that would have looked like. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, and I said it at the beginning of the season with Sondi, she came on very passive aggressive. That first moment where Amari's mom comes back in the picture, Naomi comes back in the picture, and she walks in using Amari's key, and they're out on a balcony or in the backyard, and she puts on this like she looks at Matthew like she wants to say something, but then she goes into smiling and sipping her tea. You sis, you've been holding this. What you doing? Like you've been holding on to it. Let that shit rock. Like you're in a relationship. Honesty and transparency is necessary in order to sustain
Mm-hmm.
and to survive and to succeed. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. And so we, she don't know what it could have been had she expressed like this is what I want to do, right? She's just now figuring out that the podcasting is, oh, it brought me to life. I felt the fire. Who's
Yeah.
to say that he wouldn't have supported you being in podcasting versus you being a professor? You don't
Yeah.
know. We're not having
Yeah.
these conversations with our partners. It's literally causing, I feel like it's weird because in my head it's a little bit of self-sabotage, right? If you have
Mm-hmm.
conversations, you can figure some things out, but you can also think it through and be like, you know what? All right, so I thought it through. Nah, it's not gonna work. Or, hey,
Yeah.
I
And
overthink.
then Matthew seems very supportive. It seems like he knows how to segue confrontational conversations, you
Yeah,
know? So I like that about his character, right?
yeah,
He's not an angry person. Even though he found out an apartment, it could have went differently,
yeah.
you
My man was
know?
like, we're gonna have this argument upstairs.
Yeah, I said, wow, I like to see that because nowadays, especially the millennials, Gen Z,
Right, right.
nah, it's going outside. We seen,
Yeah, yeah,
know.
because black people love a good scene for real.
And even in the ending, after her having that panic attack and then her being in, I don't know, I guess the apartment or wherever she was with the two girls, Renee and Whitney to get the advice.
Right.
Renee, I thought that was funny. Renee's comic, like, she's so humorous. She's like, you really sat there and left that man.
She probably stood there asking for more water while people just look at him, feeling sorry for him. I mean, but her advice was the best advice. Follow your heart. Like that's real.
Yeah.
That was
That's
the
what made me feel like, whoa, Renee. I was like, okay, Renee.
yeah, that was
I
real.
didn't expect that from you. I was ready for some more side shade
Yeah.
and more like no good advice.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, this is interesting. I'm ready for next episode. I'm really interested to see what the rest of the season is gonna look like. They're doing a good job building us up,
Mhm.
leaving us with a few cliffhangers with a little bit of dun dun dun. So
Yeah.
um
But let's see. What do you guys think that's going to happen in the conversation? Because that's where it ended,
mhm,
And he's just looking there like a sad puppy and was like, "You didn't come here,
to say
you know,
yes.
to say yes." And she was just looking at him like, "You right?" Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's gonna be interesting because now she also has to break up with Amari.
I know. Like, will they stay together or will they work this through? Till next time, catch us on,
So soap opera right now.
right, Days
Soap
of Our
opera.
Lives.
Yeah. Y'all tell us what you think, what you like, who you rocking with. What's your
Mhm.
thoughts on your girls, man? Because they doing some interesting things. They doing some interesting things. But we definitely want to hear from you. So leave your thoughts,
Yes.
your
Stay
questions,
tuned.
your votes, so to speak, on what the rest of the season gonna look like, or what the next episode is gonna look like.
Right.
Tell us what you think, and until next time, we'll be on time. You know what I mean? We'll be on time this week, so you'll have your episode right when it drops. Peace.
Peace.